I'm a resident of Warsaw, Indiana, Kosciuszko County.
And then, Terry, do you mind spelling that first name for me too, just so we have
Terry, Terry.
Perfect. Then just make sure that we have no problems remembering that details. So Terry, what drew you out to this event today?
Well, believe it or not, this is my second event of the day. I was in Fort Wayne earlier, so the reason for my coming out here is because, like most people in the room, I realize that until we get true transparency in our voting process, redistricting has very little to do. It doesn't really matter how you redistrict if you don't know that your vote is a vote. And based on what we've had, statistic-wise, across the country, but it hasn't been proven yet, but I am under the understanding that all 50 states will eventually have a forensic audit. Right now, there's a handful of states that are doing that. And you know as well as I do that the data that's coming back from those are showing fraudulent voting practices. The state of Indiana will be disclosed this week in South Dakota. There is an apparatus that's being set up that will be able to, every congressman, every governor, every state representative, and every senator in a state legislature, as long as the media, as well as the media, is going to be asked to come to Sioux Falls, South Dakota this week on August the 10th, 11th, and 12th. And they have an apparatus that a legislator can go to a kiosk, type in their county, and it can show you if there was fraudulent voting activity that took place in that county.
And then, when we're talking about redistricting, but you're saying that the voting is more important, how does a fair election hinge on the opportunity for the votes to represent each person?
Well, first of all, you heard in the room mentioned earlier that one of the biggest hindrances in Indiana state voting is voter apathy. And the reason why you have voter apathy is because most of those people who choose not to show up have at one point or another become disenfranchised with the voting process. They do not believe that their vote represents a vote. Therefore, if that's the mentality that you take, why would I show up at the polls if it's not going to make a difference? That's the crux of why the voting is such an important issue.
And you coming out to this event to speak to representatives is kind of giving a voice to the voiceless. Can you tell us a little bit about what you hope the representatives and senators go back to Indianapolis knowing about our community?
My greatest hope is that those people who were also in Fort Wayne this morning, they were in Lafayette yesterday, they were in Valparaiso yesterday. There's another group of people in Anderson, Evansville, Sellersburg. They're holding a variety of these symposiums across the state. I realize these folks are traveling. They're dedicating time to do that. However, here's my biggest concern. Those legislators sitting behind that table, listening to these constituents, are listening to everything that's being said. My question is, are you hearing what's being said? In my mind, there's a huge difference between hearing and listening. We're seeing it happen across the globe, across the United States, in school boards, city council meetings, county council meetings. This just happens to be a bigger platform with bigger players, but it's the same scenario. Come and speak your piece. We'll hear everything you say, but we can't guarantee you that we'll listen to what you're saying. I think it boils down to that.
And why is it so important that we get this right, not just for today, but for the next 10 years of Indiana?
Well, I can tell you why. I have a 17-year-old son. He's not of age yet to vote. Okay? The next decade, he will step into the right to vote. If we don't get it right, will his vote be his vote, or will his vote be less than his vote? I'm here on behalf of my children and my children's children, and those, like you said, to be a voice for the voiceless. We live in a democracy, a democratic republic. Ben Franklin said, we leave you a democratic republic so long as you can keep it or maintain it. Right now, that doesn't seem to be working in our favor because I'm a representative of we the people, as stated in the Declaration of the United States.
And is there anything else that you want the community or viewers to know about that I may not have asked?
I would say thank you for the opportunity of sharing. Probably not the main view of people in the room. As they always say, there's two sides of the story. Both sides must be heard, but the people, we, the people, should be the ones who determine the truth.
And thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.